Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LARP Tales podcast, the award-winning LARP podcast where we tell our stories through live-action roleplay. My name is Oliver. I'm one half of your hosting duo. With me, as always, is my co-host, Robyn. Hey, Robyn.
Hey, Oliver.
And today we are going to be recapping our time at the second Menhir's Fate LARP event of their first year. So... great time, exciting stuff. Before we get into it though, the usual housekeeping. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe so you know when new content is coming to the Two Having to Roll universe. Give us a like, leave a comment down below, give us the stars if you're listening on audio platforms. Go check out the Patreon, go check out other ways to support us. We've got a discount code, referral code for Empire LARP as well if you want to grab that, because we've got Empire LARP. We're in the season of Empire LARP as well as Menhir's Fate. With all that out of the way though, let's get into our recap of Menhir's Fate Event 2 2025. Okay, so Menhir's Fate. We had a great time at the first one, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a really great time at the first event, actually. And going into the second event, we were kind of, not too sure what to expect because, that was our first ever event. And I knew there was a couple of things they were changing for the second event. And we weren't sure if we were going to have the same sort of experience or how different it was going to be. But it was different, but in a really great way, I think.
Yeah, we had a very different time. We just got up to different stuff. So jumping straight in, if you haven't checked out the recap of the first event, go check that one out because we'll be referring back to that one a fair bit. So when we came in on the Thursday, we almost had a moment as well, didn't we? Because
oh my gosh!
So I don't know if we definitely mentioned it on the podcast last time.
I don't know if we did.
I think we did. So when we got there, event one. The security were like, you need to have the vehicles, no vehicles on the site after 8 o'clock, or they weren't allowing people in.
You weren't allowed to drive into the IC area after 8, and the vehicles have to be off the IC area by 10. That's what the first event was.
Yeah. Oh yes, this is an IC camping problem because basically if you camp in OC, you can arrive at any time, right? And then you can leave. You can arrive before 10. You can arrive before 10. And you can leave at any time.
Leave any time, but if you want to drive on the IC field itself, if you want to drive right up to your IC camping spot, you have to do it before 8 p.m. On the Thursday. Well,
I think it's the case. Yeah, Thursday, and then Friday. Obviously, you need to do it before time in. But yeah, we were like that. They had put on the official Menhir's Discord that it was going to be 10 o'clock. We were like, oh, that's better. But then when we were driving there, you put in, oh yeah, just to make sure we can get there just before 10 o'clock. And everyone was like, no, 8. Like you got to be there before 8.
Well, that's what was confusing. So I was like, oh no, just to make sure we can do that for 10. And a few people were like, yeah. And then I got like an official response being like, yeah, you can arrive up till 10, but you can't drive on the IC field after 8. And at this point, we're like driving there, and we are cutting it fine. We're looking at the Google Maps, and we're like, oh, this is going to be cutting it fine.
And then we ended up getting there like 7:45.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, no more cars on. And it was like, we managed to get on.
We got on. Obviously, we got on in the end. Everybody was really wonderful. And even after all that, like some friends were arriving like way later, and certain members of like the crew were making sure people were getting on, so people weren't actually
because we had so much stuff with us, and it's just like I can't. it's just that one of those things. Yeah, okay. It's like health and safety, security. Like, 'cause it's a different company that do the security.
This is a security company. This is not Menhir's.
And it's like, so you want me to park in the OC and then take all of my stuff all the way to literally the next field that I could just drive on. It's one of those frustrating things, but we managed to get on.
It was quite funny though, because I was like putting in the Discord. So I was like, hey, like messaging with like one of our friends, and I was like, hey, do you have your trolley with you? And it's like, I don't have my trolley with me, but we've got a group of people waiting. Basically, there was a group of people waiting and ready for if we got there and needed a hand to carry like tents and beds and everything.
It's basically not. I mean, the quibble is it's not ideal if you're driving a long distance. Say if you've got because we've got like a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah, we're not as bad as some
but
people.
then when we left, it kept adding time on because it was just rush hour with accidents with that. But anyway, the camp setup. So what they've done is that, like when we explained last time, you have like the town center and all the camps for the different nations are like spokes on a wheel. What they've done is they like shifted everyone like clockwise.
Yeah, they've just turned the wheel clockwise.
Yeah.
So every segment has moved one segment over.
So the idea is that every nation's going to have a turn eventually, like being at every part of, which I get, because it's the idea is that, because we had like because Valdrafe this time was relatively close to like the food, and the showers and things like that. The idea
even
is
closer next time.
Yeah, and we should next time we should be the closest.
Yeah,
right?
And then it'll keep moving round. What was really interesting with this though is at the first event, and I was thinking this, I was like, with the camp attacks coming, by the time the third camp attack came, I was like, I know which area they're going to attack. I know my best defensive strategies around here. It's fine. We've got them. I know exactly how to flank them when they come. And now we're in a new segment. I was like, oh, I've got no idea where we're best fighting in the segment now. Actually, that is quite cool.
Yeah, and it's also in the story we have because the last event, I still don't know whether we call them summits or not. I think I've never even got that cleared up. People are still calling them summits.
Yeah,
whatever.
Let's go for
summits. Meetings at Haven. So in the story, when we were in Haven, we all came to Haven for the first time. And then when we left, Haven disappeared, and it was in Avaro, wasn't it? But then in the story, they had a little like prequel write up, and they were like, "Oh, it's now in Hammerstadt."
Yeah, it's right.
So I don't know whether that's also a reason why they're changing the camp around, so it kind of feels a little bit different every time we go. I have to admit though, I am a creature of habit, and I did like it did throw me off a little bit, especially being just slightly on a different part of the field, and I kept like losing my bearings a bit. I kept coming out of like the Adventurers Guild or the toilets near Haven and being like, oh, I'm walking towards Valdrafe, and then I ended up just walking completely towards like
I kept walking to the Wonder. Like the amount of times I walked over to the Wonder, and I was like, this is not where I'm supposed to be.
yeah.
But thank you to whoever put up the archway. That did help, especially at night. I literally was just looking for the archway.
I think it'd be really cool if like Menhirs themselves put like little things, for each nation.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Just like for the start of the wedge, and be like, oh, this is this. So you could go around a circle being like, right, okay, I'm here. I'm roughly here,
Yeah. Like proper like built like how they've built like the menhir and the different menhir around. If you did it in that type of style, like that type of brick style, where there was like, a point on each one, and you would go, and that would be quite cool actually.
Yeah, but because it is
they did put chalkboards around on each one, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think it's difficult to know what was player and what was.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I saw the same chalkboards in most of the nations, so I wasn't too sure actually.
Where were the chalkboards then?
There was one next to the archway.
Was there?
It said Valdrith.
I no idea. I did not see a chalkboard at all. Maybe that's their way of being like, okay, this is where the camp starts.
Maybe.
For like the camp plans.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But I do remember going around at night, because you do get disoriented because you go around at night, and we were like, hang on, where are we? Are we in Hammock? Especially when you're on the other side of the field that you're normally on, and then it's dark, and then you're like, well, hang on, where are we? Are we in, is this Morvalis, or is this... Thing is, your positions never change, as in like, we're always going to have Krios on one side of us and the Wanderer on the other side.
Yeah.
Basically. So as long as you kind of know roughly... I guess it'll get easier hopefully when the camps get bigger as well. We were the biggest camp by quite a bit this time.
Oh,
right?
yeah, our camp was huge this time.
Yeah.
We had like it felt like a proper little community and everything this time. We had like we had a bar this time.
Yeah, we had a bar. Yeah.
Yeah, decent bar.
The bar, so the bar and the nightlife, I'm hoping as the game gets more and more popular, that's going to be, because the thing is, it's a big out of character investment to run a bar. I mean, I was talking to mates of ours that have run like bars and run bars in the marches before and things like that, and they were like telling me some of the like the outlays that you need, right, every event to run a bar at Empire, and I'm like, that's you need basically a big group to be putting in lots of out character money.
Oh yeah.
Every event to like buy the beer and have the because you need a big area, big sitting area and things like that. And I'm just
And
like,
alcohol's expensive.
Yeah.
It's also all the other little things that you don't think about as well. And you also need people that are there to run it also.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a big group and you all want to run off and do things, you need people that want to actually be there to run it, to handle all the IC coin and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
But it was really cool anyway. It was like it felt really like a really community sort of thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, they were selling beers. I think the cheap beers were like 3 sagas.
Yeah, 3.
So I was like, okay, which is, I think, thing is, it's a new game, so the economy is like, it's not stabilized yet. I'm not even. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. People have like real strong opinions on game economy. I think hopefully we're going to be talking to people who know a bit more about game economy soon on the podcast. But even with like Empire, it's like it's either like it's too young and it's like unstable, or it's too old and people have taken too much advantage of it and it's broken. So economy in games is very difficult. But they were selling like if you go, right, okay, there's a cheap beer for 3 sagas, and I'm like, oh, that seems reasonable. But then I was like, God, if you came here for a weekend and you chose money as your resource, you get 100 sagas. So you can have a pretty good weekend. Like if you just want to drink beer.
In your player pack, you can go ahead and have 33 pints of beer. Like, that's pretty.
If that's all you want to do. And to be honest, I mean, there's not too much more you wouldn't be. You wouldn't be playing the game wrong if that's what you wanted to do. I mean, money is a funny thing in this game. It doesn't feel like Empire.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Empire at all. You're encouraged to like share that around and to use it. And the bar literally, they said at the start of the event, being like, yeah, we're going to use all the money from this to fund other projects. And we talked about buildings last time; they were going to fund things. So it was like, great. Every pint I'm buying, I'm funding something.
I have a. So I don't know anything about this. This is just a hunch of mine. The theme of the game is very, especially when we've got like the baddies, the villains, the antagonists. One of their main thing is like holding on to wealth and things like that, basically, and hoarding it. And I'm just like, I wonder. So I've got a fair bit in my bank currently that I haven't spent. I was like, I wonder if like you can get corruption just for holding money. I feel like that's a thing because you get so much money. Like if you choose the money thing, and it's early days in the game, obviously, and they still need to tweak things and whatnot. But I'm like, I want to be the first person to have so much money that isn't moving that I get corrupted. You know what I mean?
That'd be quite a cool concept, actually.
I think it'd be good because it basically encourages you to spend. Because you just go, oh well, you've hoarded it all. It just seems within the theme of the game. Again, I don't know this. No one's like hinted at that to me, but I'm just like, this feels very like Tolkien-esque. The dragons that hoard the wealth of like the villains, if you just sit on your wealth, and don't spread it out. Dragon sickness. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the game because we've got a lot to talk about.
Oh my gosh.
We've got a lot to talk about. So Friday night, a different pace from the first event.
Yeah, definitely. Like the so this is one thing that they have definitely changed quite quite a lot since the first game. The first game, we when it came to the bank and everything, so you have to go to the bank to get your IC resources and all the rest of it. Now at E1, this bank queue was there for most of Friday. In fact, I don't even think we picked up coin on Friday.
Well, yeah. Well, we did. We just waited till really late.
We wanted
to get into the Adventurers Guild. So the first event, I think they were supposed to be opening before time and they never managed it. And they had a massive queue. This time, they had it open like, was it 2 hours before?
Yeah, I think it was 2 hours
or an hour before.
And they were doing it like IC though, I think.
So. It was still out of character on the field, but then they're like, when you're in the... So that was one bit of a confusion because people going, oh yeah, the bank's open at 4 or 5 or whatever it was, and then people were heading there not in kit, and then everyone was like, oh no, it's like in character inside the bank.
Because it's quite cool, I like that.
Yeah, they're definitely holding on to that. We want the bank and character packs to be in character and always be in character. Well, I think it's working. I think I didn't hear any grumbles about the queue, only the fact that people were tactically waiting. So when we went, there was no queue.
Yeah.
And it was like, what, 7 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I think we waited for a little bit and then that was it. So weirdly enough, Empire, if you are a player that has been going for a long time, you don't have to queue as long. Because they have like, if you're between 0 and this number, you can go over here, which hardly, there's less people that still go into the game that have those numbers, so you can go in quite quickly. This game, it's the opposite. So because we have low numbers, they're like, oh, we have a separate queue for everyone over this number. But most people, because it's a brand new game, most people are in that first 1,000 players, that are just so. Yeah, but the queuing was fine, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was super quick, and definitely changed that whole bank experience. I think for the better. Like it was really good and everything.
Yeah.
Little bit of like a slower start this time because obviously E1 we had like all the gods and everything in Haven. It was like the first gathering, and there was like stuff going on everywhere, and it really was pulling you into every part of the game from go basically.
Yeah.
It was a bit steadier this time, though.
Yeah, which is like a pro and a con for us, or for me anyway. I don't know what you think about it, because I felt like, this was. I kind of just expected the same again, basically. I kind of just went not the same storyline, but I expected this is we're going to kickstart everyone off and then go. But it was a slower start, and there wasn't as many camp attacks. There was like a really late camp attack, wasn't there?
Yeah.
To the point where everyone was going, oh, we're not getting camp attacks this time. However, I feel like then that made it special, us going to E1. It made it feel worth it going to E1.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because we got that, like, this is the start. These are all the aspects of the gods. And, like, the gods were, like, saying us, oh, we built this for you. And it just felt like this is the first time it's appeared, So we getting in, it felt, the people that went to E1 and made the effort to go to E1, it made it feel that one was
really
one was special because it was the start of the game, basically. So I think the other reason is that the crew worked really hard at the first event, and I think they just this is just what the vibe I got, especially with the camp attacks. I think they got the vibe they were going, right, okay, we need to just calibrate how we're pacing our skirmish crew.
Yeah, that poor skirmish crew, honestly, I think they were just go, 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 and they were fighting constantly last event.
Yeah.
This event, it felt much more, like you said, paced out. And yeah, I think, because obviously the crew that are there, when they're working that hard, their welfare comes into it as well. And
So we went, it was a bit of a slow, we were supposed to go to the Adventurers Guild, and then we kind of hung around, and we after time in to see what was going on in Valdraith. So Valdraith, so I'm told this was the brainchild of new LARPers, people that don't come to Empire. But I showed up to Valdraith and I saw a square. I saw a square. Now, the Valdraith brief and the Empire Dawn brief, they've got similarities, right? Mostly what I'm drawn to is like the costume brief, basically medieval knights, right? But when I got there and there's like a square, and I'm like, what's the square for? Oh, for tournaments and telling stories. And I'm like, that sounds like a glory square.
Gatherings,
like, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I was told that this was someone who wasn't an Empire person, but basically we don't want it to turn into like Dawn in a different game.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, I don't think any of the Dawn players actually want that either. I think we're all kind of like,
I think,
we've got Dawn.
Yeah, we already have that. It's a different thing. I was pleased that because it was quite small, and it wasn't used for meetings and things like that. And I'm like, oh, that was great. It was used for a tourney, so they're like, we're gonna have a tourney, and the play. And from what I gathered, the people that were doing tourneys in the Glory Square weren't Dawn Empire players.
Yeah.
anyway. So someone had, I think it was the group. I think it was the group that did the bar, right?
I think it was actually
That organised.
yeah.
Oh yeah, well they said it was sponsored by
They were
the thing, yeah.
sponsoring it, and that's why like the money that they were getting, they were putting on all the prize money and everything for the tourneys.
Yeah.
And then they were also putting in the prize money for there was story competitions, there was a music one, everything. There was do you know what? It worked really well throughout the weekend. It was
not,
like a really lovely central point.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's not like anathema to the Valdraith brief, but obviously just having played in Dawn for years and years in Empire, and then coming in and being like, there's some similar beats, and then coming in being like, oh, is this just going to be the same LARP for me? So I think a lot of the other Dawn Empire players were the same, though, that were in Valdraith. And I remember speaking to a few of other people, and I'm just like, they're like, oh, how's it over in Valdraith? And I'm like, weirdly enough, I showed up and there was a glory square there. But again, it you know, I think it was apparently it was an idea of someone who wasn't. And it's fine. I think this is totally personal because I think there's parts of Valdraith that maybe are too similar to what we play at Empire, and now I'm like, should we have like tried something a bit different, you know? Because I really liked when as soon as we showed up to Kairos, they had like their amphitheater, which was like, oh no, that makes sense for their brief.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a totally different vibe from like the Dawn Glory Square and what we're doing at Valdraith, and now we've kind of got one for tournaments, and I'm like, okay, so we didn't interact with that game anyway because we were like, they had the tournament. I was like, I've been to a million tournaments, I've watched a million tournaments. So we didn't. Did they have that on the Friday or the Saturday? I think it was the Saturday, right?
what, the tourney?
Yeah, the tourney. Yeah.
Oh, I thought the tourney was on Saturday.
I think it was.
It was
I think it was
Saturday,
on Saturday. I think it was Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, because the Friday was very much like warming up, and what was really cool as well, the bar that you did these drink vouchers for everybody, where you got one saga off your first drink as well, and these were just getting like passed around to everyone, to everyone there, every nation. Just come, bring your voucher, come get a drink, and it was really cool actually because it brought. Because the idea of Haven is it's bringing us all together to fight this together. So what was really cool was having all the other nations coming over into Valdraith to have a drink and everything because they heard, oh, there's a bar, let's go to the bar, and that was quite cool.
Yeah, friends of ours joined Kairos, right? So yeah, Kairos is like the people who haven't been. Kairos is like the Greek inspired.
Kairos is really cool. I've spent a lot of time talking about it the last few days.
But basically, if anything happens to these characters, or if we do what we want to these characters, I'm going to be going to Kairos. This feels like a game, though, and I remember speaking to like Nick, who's like the director of the game, like the main director of the game, before this game started at like a LARP last year, and he was saying like this is the type of game where we want to encourage people to have like a beginning, a middle, and end to their stories, and once you've done your thing. Yeah. Then we're going to work on, you know, we want to encourage people to finish up what they're doing and then try something new. And it does feel like the type of game where you could just be like, oh, I'm just going to do a year in each nation. Because it's something like Empire. You can it can take you a long time to like get into a position that you want to you know, establish your character and things like that. This has a feeling of being like, oh, we'll just be knighty paladins for a year and then we'll switch to something else, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like at Empire, you can spend a year there and barely establish yourself. Whereas here, I mean, like after one event, you can like do a lot, and then So when Nick was first saying this to us, I was very much like I wasn't on board with that idea. I was like, oh, I don't like the idea of putting like everything into a character.
Because you get attached to your characters.
Oh, I really do. But now I'm realizing I'm more like that in Empire. Now that we've done so many Eversley events as well, I've gotten kind of used to characters dying, to things changing, to jumping into new roles that I wouldn't normally do. And the whole sort of Greek thing, that was what you were really into that. And when we first read the briefs, that was the one that you kind of thought was cool. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's really my vibe, to be honest. Well, after this event, I've spent some time looking at armor. I think it's my vibe.
Let's go through what we did. Yeah, so I was going to say, friends of ours joined Kairos.
Yeah.
like last minute, and
Yeah.
they decided to do like a
Yeah, they decided on the Monday, didn't they?
yeah. So they decided to do like a frat house, party group in Kairos, and they just did kind of pub crawls and things like that. But you were saying, you were like, what's really cool, especially about the Kairos brief, and I think a lot of the briefs are the same. But I mean, the Kairos brief, you looked at like their kit, and you're just like, Kairos, you can be like, you've got these characters that are in like proper full on like heavy armor,
Oh,
all
beautiful
like
armor.
kind of hoplite Spartaned out or whatever. I don't know, Spartans didn't wear all the massive armar, but you know what I mean, the proper
Basically looking like an actual like Spartan coming out
yeah,
with the
exactly,
big
the
head
helmet with
thing
all
and
the headdress and all. I don't know all the terms, the costume terms, but and then you're like, but then you've got the people that literally just come in a chiton, which is literally
yeah.
just it can be a bed sheet.
You can literally get a bed sheet, tie it around you, done, you're
Yeah,
there.
and you look the part, and I'm just like, that's a real
Yeah.
cool aspect to a brief. Like if you can just be like, oh, I'm going to an event in like 2 days time, I just need
You can go with
one piece.
zero. Yeah, you can literally go with zero budget
Yeah.
and take apart one of your bed sheets or a pair of curtains you got
Yeah.
at home and go with zero budget, or you can have a really big budget, and either way, you will both look perfectly in with the setting, which I do love. To be able to do that with a brief is really cool, because I don't think definitely every nation does not fall into that category at all.
No, but
this
I
one
mean, I
does.
tell you what, there's a few briefs that I really fell in love with this time. I guess we'll talk about them when we go around them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Friday night we went to the Adventurers Guild. Now the problem with the Adventurers Guild is that what they've done, which I think is good, is they've got jobs posted on the quest board, and then they had sign-ups this time, didn't they? So you signed up for them. We were too late to come in and sign up for the first combat one, but they had ones that were non-com. They had like a bard one. They had a completely non-combat healer one, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a lot of like non-com ones that were
Yeah,
still,
so they're catering for everybody, but obviously the combat ones, a lot of people that are coming to the event want to go off and do the fighting straight away, So we went, and that's the thing, because the three of us, you, me, and Al are like palling it out, and we're just like, let's put our armor on, we've got our weapons with us, and we're like, let's go do a thing. We walked up to like Adventurers Guild, and I'm like, got anything for us? It's just like, oh no, you've just missed the thing going out. And we're like, okay, cool. And we're like, okay, I guess we'll just like have a wander around. Obviously you're in your armor, and you're like, well, I'm all dressed up with nowhere to go. So then we went to the bank, got our stuff.
Yeah.
Got our stuff out. Our like Fadwis, brother Fadwis Grimshaw.
Spell D
No. No, that is the gag that just keeps on giving. I've got to admit, like, just so he's, yeah. So
my aim for the end of this year is to be able to perfectly spell Fadwi's name.
Spell it out loud
and spell it out loud and write it down like beautifully.
Yeah.
That's my target for the end of the year.
Yeah.
And at no point do I want Al to actually give it to me in writing. I want to do it from his like.
Yeah. Al had a great event. I mean, that's the thing. Al's such a good LARPer that he just like generates really so much game. I'm just like, how'd you do it? I mean, but he's the type of player that you want in this game when it's new, because they're the type of players that like push the boundaries and push the levers. So like he's literally done this dragon thing. He's like, I'm going to build this dragon hatchery, and then dragon training grounds, and then we're going to have dragon riders as a unit, and the entire nation. The entirety of the game knows about it, right? The whole, like, every nation knows about it, and then when you speak to the crew behind the scenes, like, oh yeah, we've heard about your dragons, and just everyone's getting like into it. So yeah, we went to the bank, and then we were like, you know what? Let's try, because we did Adventurers Guild stuff last time where we helped the troll. Why don't we try another one of the guilds? And you had like shown interest in like doing like puzzles and things like that.
Oh yeah, the ciphers and things. I kind of I like that kind of thing, and I was like, well, yeah, I want to go and find out like where they do that type of thing.
Yeah. So we went to the Treasure Hunters Guild.
Yeah.
And we went, okay, well, and we said, again, we're all like armored up, aren't we? So we spoke to the Treasure Hunters Guild, and we're like, it seems very like roguey, thiefy, type of stuff, treasure hunting. But we sat down with one of the guild masters, and we were like, hey, like, do you have work for people like us? And they were like, well, what are people, what's your skill set? I'm like, we're monster hunters, because our characters are, we're a knightly order, and we spend our time in the hedge, which is like a magical forest that borders that's on one of the borders of Valdraith, right? And it's like it's a magical structure that you can't. It's difficult to look into it magically
Yeah.
as well. Like it's like a living thing that protects Valdraith, but also it kind of protects it from us as well. But there's all like lots of like nasty things in there.
Yeah, like everything in the
Yeah.
hedge wants to kill you, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where the dragons are, which we found out later.
Yeah.
But we suspected that's where we were because that's where we're building it. We're building the hatchery in the hedge. But we were like, do you need people like us? And they were like, yes. I think this is another thing about the game and the yes and like it's
Oh my
quite
gosh,
clear
yeah.
that everybody has been briefed. And if they haven't, it's quite impressive. But it's quite clear everybody in that game on the Crusade has been briefed. Like, try to yes and everything, and if not, try to no but stuff.
Yeah.
Because we were like, hey, we're heavily armored paladins. Do you need us in the Treasure Hunters Guild? Well, we were honest. We were like, because the Adventurers Hunters Guild doesn't have anything for us right now. And they were like, yeah, we can use you because like the certain missions we need a mixture of people. So it's not just sneaky people. We need people with different abilities, you know, so we go, okay, well, you know, you take a couple of healers, take a couple of bards, and we need like some security. And I think that's how the Adventure Hunters Guild works as well, to an extent.
Oh no, they do, because all the guilds seem to get a similar mixture of things. It's something we were speaking about though, like on the way home, where like there's another guild that we think would work really well, and we were saying about a fighters guild.
Yeah, I think if they had like a fighters guild, and I know the Adventurers Guild is supposed to be a bit of a fighters guild, but if they had a guild that was specifically for people who are you know, and be like, okay, well this is the fighters guild. This is going to be for killing bandits. It's going to be for tournaments. It's going to be for that type of thing.
Yeah, like that would be really cool if we could have a fighters guild. That'd be quite cool. I think
a specific one for actual combat. I think I know why they've stayed away from that, because they don't want any guild to be like exclusive to
because that
anybody,
kind of
but
it cuts out like, but it doesn't have to. It could be one where everything is but there are other sort of like rules within that, like, you know, the fighters have to go and rescue someone within that group of fighters going out to rescue. They're going to need somebody who can play instruments to charm the big monster that's going to be in the way, so that we can get round and fight all the bandits and stuff. Oh my god, I want to start writing things.
Yeah,
can we make some? I've got some ideas.
No, we're not going Crusade. We're not going Crusade. So yeah, they were like, yeah, we can definitely use you, and we're like, okay, well, and they were like, do you want to sign up? And this is a whole like, you know, yes and thing as well. They were like, okay, well, to sign up, you can either pay a fee or, and it wasn't much, was it?
It was one saga each, basically.
Yeah,
sign up.
But they were like, or, you know, you can do a task for us. And like, well, we have nothing else to do.
Yeah, we were like, we're here because we want to do something.
Give us some stuff to do. And they were like, okay, well, we need we're gathering names of people and institutions that we can buy flicker and essence for the guild. So go around and find people who are selling it that would be willing to sell it to the Adventurers Guild if they so need. And we were like, off we go. And then we went off and power game that, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we did. So in our downtime option, so we get like downtime options between the events, and whoever designed the downtime map and the way that's all laid out, it is absolutely
visually
beautiful.
it's
visually,
cool, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Visually
you just literally hover over the different areas in the map, and it'll show you the different options you can take. And the downtime option we took was actually some arrow plot, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, they had like they gave you little options, and then basically there was some options in the downtime that you had. So you click on a thing. So again, it wasn't locked to your nation. You could go do downtime in other nations. So when if people are hearing this, I know there's, you know, we've had lots of interest in Menhir's Fate stuff. So there's probably people here no idea on the LARP speak we're talking about. So the downtime is what you do when you're not at the game. So your character is doing things between events. So if you went to an event, then you get to do a downtime. So then you go onto your account on the Menhir's website, and then it will, when they've opened downtime, it'll be like, oh, you can now choose your downtime. So saying what your character did after the event or between the event you've just gone to and the event you're going to, and they have like a selection on the map of things that you can go do. You can click. There was and there was things that had options. So it was like a voting system of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So there was like in Valdrave they had the mirror thing, the weird mirror thing.
Yeah.
And they had options of just like, right, you can. Do you want to go and look into the mirror? Do you want to go and break the mirror?
You know,
Yeah, and it turned out that it depended on how many people chose which option. Then when you again, like the downtime in something like Empire, you get some kind of like resource from it.
Yeah.
When we did it, we were like, okay, we'll choose it, and then you just kind of get a write up.
Yeah.
And it was quite an extensive write up as well.
It was
actually
a really beautiful write up.
But the difference is that so like in Empire downtime, everybody gets to see the results. In this one, you only get to see the results of the thing that you did. So we, even though we're Valdraith, we had no idea on the outcomes of all the different things.
Yeah.
Which at first I was like, all right, well, I don't have any information on them really, what happened. But I kind of get it now because of what happened to us with Avaro. So we went over to Avaro after talking to the Treasure Hunters Guild. We're like, we talked to a few people. We talked to the Weavers Guild, didn't we? And we were like, hey, who's got all the flicker and the essence?
Yeah.
We went to Avaro, and they were like, that they had like a national fund. We were like, well, this is great. But when we walked over, we were like, let's go talk to them about the Griffins, right? So in downtime, we were like, right, which one are we picking? And one of the military units for Avaro is a Griffin riding unit called the Knights of the Area. And we're like,
cool.
well, we're literally trying to create a military unit of dragon riders. So it might generate some game if we're like, oh, we'll go there and we'll learn how to ride mythical beasts.
Yeah.
And
we
do
can
the thing.
share information. We can, figure out, how they managed to do it over the years. And I thought this will be really cool. We're going to work together.
So we went over to Avaro and we were like, oh, we helped the Knights of the Area, and they were like, wait, what? We were like, yeah. And then we found out that pretty much we were the only ones that, because Avaro is quite a small nation, right? So it's one of the smaller ones. But all their players had taken the other downtimes and hadn't taken the Griffins one. So I think if 5 people took the downtime and we were 4 of them. We were 4 of them. So, but that means that we were the ones with the information on what happened, on the outcome. So there was this crazy thing where we had, so the write-up was like, we helped the Griffins out, and the Griffins went and attacked the corrupted that are literally on the borders of Avaro, attacking Avaro. And one of the Griffins got killed by this like juggernaut, like crazy evil, like Sauron type person, in all this armor, who's corrupted, and they're literally like marching towards Avaro right now. And obviously we're coming and they don't actually know about it.
And we're like coming in like, oh my gosh,
yeah, we're sorry about your Griffins. And a lot of them were like, wait, what?
And,
we have Griffins, yeah.
It was like one blow and he killed one of the Griffins, and we're like telling this and everything, and they're just like, oh, Griffins. Realize about Griffins.
Griffins.
Like...
yeah. But they then said to us, oh, we've actually got the so like I think the threads came up to us, right? The threads of Avaro. So they're like their player nation support, right? The threads. So they came up to us and like, oh yeah, well we've actually got the general or the captain of the Knights of the Eyrie coming tomorrow. We were like, you should come and speak to them, And we were like, oh yeah, no, definitely, So that set up some cool stuff.
Yeah, they gave us the time and everything.
Yeah.
And then so that was pretty great because we got all the Griffin information. We got a time sorted out for like a meeting the next day to go meet someone, and then we also got like the information of what they were selling. So we kind of like headed back and we went to another couple of different bits. There's like a hub sort of area where they've got a pottery maker and blacksmith and everyone in as well, which is really cool. And they gave us some names. There was another name that we were given though as well, that somebody is walking the field and loudly exclaiming that they have flicker for sale.
Flicker for sale. Yeah. So it was one of these moments. So if people have been following our Empire stuff, we had Anthony on the podcast to talk about his character, the Mithril Man, who was an iconic Empire character who got murdered last year.
Yeah.
This time last year, I think.
This time last year, I think.
Roughly.
No, was it E2?
Oh no, 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 it was
E3,
E4. No, I think it was E4. I can't remember. No, it was E1 because it was when. Remember, it was the same time that the Empress got crowned. Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So it was a year ago. But anyway, so the same. We have a similar. Let's just say we have a similar character.
Very similar character.
Similar character coming into coming into Menhir's Fate. So he was another person that we were like, right, okay, well, you're obviously a person we go to buy stuff. The task was relatively straightforward. We went, okay, done. You're part of the Treasure Hunters Guild. There's actually something going out tonight.
Yeah,
that we think you should be a part of, and we're like, okay, well, what do we need to do? And they're like, right, it's going to be a stealth mission, and we were like, stealth
standing
for paladins,
there in our bright golden armor,
stealth, okay, stealth. And we're like, yeah, and it's going out. It went out late as well, so it was going out when it was dark.
Yeah, it was really dark. I think it was like back at night or something.
Yeah, so we were like, okay, we'll go on that. We'll do this treasure hunters thing. And I was skeptical. I was like, well, I don't know if I'd do into sneaky stuff, because even in video games, I'm a little bit like, I just want to run in and do the thing. I just sneak. I don't have the patience for sneaky stuff. I was like, okay, no, it's fine. We'll do the thing. So we went back to wait for that. What did we do in between that and the treasure hunters mission? Was there anything of note?
I don't think there was anything of note in between then. We kind of like hung out, saw a few people and everything. I think we went to literally get something to eat, because I think it was going out really late actually. So I think we went off and we're like, oh, we'll go and get something to eat, and then we de-armored and everything. That's another thing I love about this game, is that when it comes to your armor and if you get hit by something, it's not location specific.
I kept forgetting that. I kept forgetting that.
Well, the thing is, I normally always have my chainmail on. I've got everything on, because I'm like, well, if somebody tries to get like right under my arm, and I'm always like full armor. I didn't wear my chainmail once this weekend. I was so comfortable all weekend. Yeah, because I was like, well, I've got enough poly on me to
have heavy armor.
Heavy armor. Yeah. So they can hit me in my side if they want, but I've still got heavy armor.
Yeah, it's the arrows. The arrows do rend.
Yeah, they do.
On hit, but rend only takes you down to 0 if you've got medium armor or lower. So I kept getting hit on the leg, with an arrow, but it's like between. So in Empire, like the arrows will do impale, which is very similar to rend.
Yeah.
And it will ruin your limb if it didn't hit your actual armor. But in this game, it's not location specific. So as long as you have the heavy armor stat, as long as you have the skill and you have your heavy armor on, you cannot be affected by rend. So even if it hits you in the hand or something like that where it's not armored, you're not affected.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, if you get hit on the hand by crush, then you are down to 0. It doesn't matter, So that it's one or the other. But yeah, I kept forgetting that. There's one time someone shot me in the leg when I had heavy armor. I'm like, oh, I take a hit point. I don't actually go down. I went to go down. I was like, oh no, I don't actually go down here.
I had a few times. Yeah, like hitting just unarmored parts of me, and then being like, oh wait, no, I don't go down. And
the void. So the enemy that was very present here was the void.
Yeah.
Last time it was the fallen. The Fallen was still about, but they like really heavily introduced the Void here. So the Void are all about like they're a faction of the corruption that is all about like just the total end and nothingness of existence. So they're all about like the complete like worship of like just the oblivion of nothingness. And they've got this thing where they want to create a new world, right? But it's like not. Like it's very much like a death cult type. They're just like everyone who joins is going to they're obsessed with like the end. The end is nigh. So we didn't interact with them on Friday at all. Like, this is the thing. I got to Friday and I was like, it was like 9 o'clock and I hadn't actually had a fight, which was I got to admit I was a little bit like I was looking forward to having a fight on Friday, and we didn't actually get one. And I was like, all right, but then because Avaro had gone out and fought some of the Void, and they came back and they were like real beat up, weren't they? Because they were like, healers,
that's right, yes.
They were telling us about the Void.
Oh yeah, no, that's what happened actually on Friday. Sorry, so so they all came back. Everybody from Avaro came back, and they were all like really beaten up, and they were telling us about the Void, and their descriptions and everything were terrifying. They were saying that they all came out and they all had these long weapons, and they were destroying everything. You couldn't get through them and stuff. And
They had
it was,
everything.
yeah.
It was just like they were like, oh, they have heavy armor and great weapons and bows and crossbows and magic, and I'm like, so everything. It's just like, yes,
They were lifting over, listing all over, like, yes, they have everything.
Yes, they have everything.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then we ended up sort of like getting ready and then heading back over to the treasure hunters guild, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we headed up the hill. And this was the other thing. I was like, I want to be in Kairos, because they came back and we crossed paths with them, and they were just like, we just fought a Colossus, and I was like, that sounds so cool. It sounds so cool.
There was a little part of me in that moment where I was like,
Yeah.
I think I've got a spare bed sheet in the tent.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd welcome me.
Yeah, I've got to admit. So, like, that's the difficult thing with Valdrift being big, and I guess it might be an issue when the game gets bigger. Hopefully, the game gets bigger.
Oh yeah,
and keeps
I really
going.
hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, like, if you're thinking about coming, please come.
Yeah.
To E3 and E4, because obviously, it's not my game. But I imagine how they do financially in their first year will affect what's going to happen with the game going forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a really good game. So if you're on the fence, pretty much all of my friends that I've made in LARP that have come to it have been like, yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, please come to it. For that fact as well, like of helping the game get over the hump of like the first year.
There's there's amazing plot there. There's some amazing people there as well, and it's just such a cool idea. I want this to be a game that's running for
a while,
in 10 years time. I want to be sitting on this
10 years
field
time,
and be like, oh, I remember when we didn't have dragons.
And then they put a stop to that. Yeah, I think they're going to be doing a lot of like tweaks to the rules and things like that. But anyway, yeah, we passed Kairos, and they were like, we've just fought a Colossus. No, that sounds really cool. But anyway, we waited by the woods. So our mission on this one, that what they did is they tried to break us up, and they were very much there was a lot of like kind of behind the curtain honesty with the players as well, especially at this stage, being like, this is a new LARP. We want to make like rogue LARP a thing, right? Because warrior LARP has been a thing for decades, right? Wizard LARP has been a thing for ages. There's like lots of games have ritual magic and combat magic. I think so many people want to play the rogue archetype, and they come to a big LARP, like a fest LARP. There's not really a place for them, because there's not, like, a lot of people have messaged us over the years being like, oh, hey, like, is there a way I can play an assassin, or is there a way I can play a thief?
It's a common question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many people want to try that, because, like, when you look at the amount of people that come into LARP from D&D, rogues are one of the most popular things that people will actually play, and there's a reason for that.
And Ranger into that as well. They were like, basically, we want to do Ranger rogue LARP, like, so tracking, and foraging and things like that, but also like stealing and things like that. So doing LARP stealth, and they were like, right, we want to do LARP stealth, and the crew, which is a lot of them are like Eversley lot and things like that. It's just the perfect crew.
It really is
for trying this out. So obviously, to make it accessible, it can't be complete hard skill stealth.
No,
because that's a nightmare. It's very difficult. Like unless you have real good hard skill of sneaking, especially when you have people that are expecting, even out of character, someone to be sneaking up on them. It's almost, I'd say it was almost impossible. So they're like, right, okay, this is something that we're working on. The crew have been briefed to be like, you're going to make noises. It's very dry. We're currently in the UK right now. We're in like a drought, pretty much. Like the ground is rock solid in the woods.
We've all got like cloaks and kit and stuff.
Cloaks and kit. It's going to be like they're going to see you, but it's going to be it's going to be computer game esque, right? And I think they nailed it, and we'll get to it when we start
really
talking about
it.
Yeah. So the guards will give you the benefit of the doubt out of character, so as long as you're not like running at them screaming, and making it really obvious that you're not trying to hide, then they will spot you. But they broke us off into, so they took us on a big group, and then they went, okay, we're going to split you into smaller groups.
Yeah.
And there's several things we're going to do. So we were going at this enemy camp, weren't we? And we were looking for scrolls.
Yeah.
And they had different things for all of us to do. I can't remember what a lot of the other. I think one of them was like this is the other thing I like. They went, right, okay, we want people of different, because we got all our cloaks out, didn't we? We took all our armor off, and then people like showed up in their like finery and things like that. We were like, oh, we didn't. We could have just come in our armor actually. We totally could have done that. We could have done the same thing in our armor. But they were like, okay, we need someone. You know, we need groups. There you go. Okay, we have 2 or 3 people who are like, want to do like the charisma stuff of like, I'm gonna go and distract this guard.
Yeah, you can go in, you can just be all like, you know, all like I said, in your finery, go and chat to them, distract them while something else is happening, which is so cool.
But we went we went on the group, so it was like you, me, and Al, Maz as well.
Yeah.
We all went on the one for pickpocketing. Right, it was a pickpocketing mission. So we all go in. So we're at this like enemy base, and the idea is that we're all being sent into like 4 different parts of the base to get the 4 different scrolls.
Yeah,
right?
so we're all going to 4 different locations of this huge base, so that obviously if the first group go in and they are caught, the other bases are not going to be like on guard for somebody coming in at that moment because they're so far apart. Yeah.
So we sneak in, and this is our first time doing this as well. And I'm sneaking in. I'm like, this is really freaking cool, right? So they have, you know, this bit like this really in the dark that's got like sporadic trees. It's a perfect little bit for it as well. They got like sporadic trees where you can just go up to the tree, you know, and then where the guards are and where your objective are, it's all lit, right? But it's like hedges which are like waist high, right? So you can't really go just walk straight out in there without like crouching. So we're all doing this like video game stealth crouch, and I'm just like, this is amazing. Right? So we're doing video game stealth crouch, and then there's this thing where it's like you end up getting like stuck. Like we were all like walked up to like the edge, and you're like trying not to be spotted, but then inevitably you just get stuck and be like, oh damn. But the real cool thing is that they had patrols going around in like 2s, didn't they? And so you could count the patrols. So they had the guy with the key.
And the reason that we knew it was the guy with the key is this was amazing. They're walking around. All you hear is, you still got that key? Yeah, I've got that key. Don't you lose that key. Where's that key? It's in my pocket. Is it still in your pocket? Yes. Don't you lose it. And they're doing this on routine.
You have to make it very obvious, you know, especially when it's like you're doing. I mean, I've got to admit, I don't know how well it ran behind the scenes, because like, especially on a stealth mission, you can take a long time, you know, because I think ours did run over because we were still role playing in timeout, right?
We were the last group out, and I know that the group before us had ran over, and we were briefed when we went in. They literally was like, "Hey, group before you went over, you need to get up to that point over there, like at a decent pace, basically. Get up to that point over there. Don't get stuck down here." And yeah, that was kind of
so we got up to a certain point. So I'm there watching, then Maz ends up going out to get this key, right? And Maz is like slowly like walking. There's a few like cracks, isn't it? You just saw her go, oh damn, walking up, and the guy with the key is like looking out, being like, must have been the wind. I should turn around soon. What was that noise? Maybe I should turn around. It was I loved it.
Brilliant.
I love that in this type of game. It's so good. So Maz like takes the key, brings it back. Right, I go, okay, no, we've got the key now. We need the chest. Right, we're told we can't pick up the chest. We have to literally open the chest and get the scroll out. So we had 2 of our Cyrodian friends with us. So there's Mike and another one of our friends. And they had this amazing idea, right? They were like, oh, we're going to astral project. I didn't know much about the astral projection.
Oh, this was so cool.
So this is one of these abilities, right? Where if I'd heard it, I'm like, when are you ever going to use that?
An oracle ability, isn't it?
It's I think it's an oracle ability.
I think it's an oracle one, yeah.
So what you do your weaving thing, right? And you basically like leave your body, and you can walk out, so you can walk with your hand up, basically, so you're invisible, right? You're invisible, and you just walk up to where you want. And I think there's a range. I can't remember the range on it. What was the range? Like 300 yards or something.
No, it was
It's quite a distance.
It was 30 feet, I think.
Was it
I
as
think
low
it
as
was
that?
30. No, it was.
Yeah.
It was a decent distance. If you're inside a room, is what they were saying. It's a good distance. If you're out in the woods, it's not a good distance.
Well,
yeah.
Yes.
I think it was at 10 meters.
Yeah.
It's 10 meters, which is 30 feet. Yeah.
But you have to come, but you come back to where you started. So like I think the idea is you astral project out. So it's one of those ones where I'm like doing like Empire for so long, doing other games. I'm just like, when would you ever use that? But it's like, this is the perfect type of game to use it in. And it's like, okay, we're going to astral project, and they astral project it out. And we literally, obviously, they have the hand up, like our character have the hand up. You just walk up to where you're invisible, and you can just go see where the chest was.
Yeah.
And then he walked back and was just like, yeah, the chest is. Oh, they came back into his body. It was like, the chest is over there, and we're like, that's awesome. Unfortunately, at this point, we'd left you and a few of you others have been stuck on a tree, right? So there's a few of you stuck on a tree.
We'd moved forward and we got stuck, and we waited a little bit as you guys went on the other side. At this point, the guards had kind of changed their thing, which means we couldn't get past. I could see them with the hands up. Now, Al, in his full white attire,
just a white robe
with a white hat, everything.
I am sneaky. Yeah.
He went right up the woods to our side, so he also got stuck up there. We got stuck at one point, and then we were kind of just waiting there, really, being like, right, okay, we're kind of stuck here. And we were there. We saw the astral projecting. I kind of like ran forward to one bit. The guards changed directions, walked towards me, and I kind of did that run backwards to where it was originally.
There was a moment, especially because we went and did another mission like this on the Saturday as well, and there was that whole video game thing of like, okay, I'm gonna go, and then they start walking towards you, and then you just turn around. Oh no! Oh, get back to my hiding spot.
It did kind of like, I must admit, it did give me real like Baldur's Gate feels, like going through some of the parts in Baldur's Gate when I'm trying to sneak around, and I'm like, oh my god.
I'll be honest, it was every stealth game ever. It was really good, but at that moment, when our mate came back and was like, hey, like it's there, right? I think it was like only me, him, and Maz, and it was like so by that time they had come around, so the patrol had come around and were having a go at the guy for losing the key. They were like, you lost the key, and obviously the path to the chest was brightly lit.
Yeah.
So we were like, we literally have to go right now. We were like, go. So.
Well, did you see what they were doing while you guys were running up to the thing? So what they were doing is they all got together and they all turned around and they looked down and went, keep feeling through the ground. So they spent like a good, I would say between 10 and 20 seconds, all down on their hands and knees, looking down at the ground, feeling for a key. And I was like, that is so cool, because that's about the rough amount of time you're going to need to get the chest open and get the stuff and get out of there.
Yeah, it was intense, because it gave you the feeling that like your heart was racing, and like, oh, I hope they're in space. And then we're like running up, we're doing this like crouch run, like through the hedges, and then we like, okay, there's the chest over there, and then I stop, and I honestly crap myself. I'm like, oh my god! But then they're like, it's a ref, because the ref stone. That's ref. So walk up to the chest, and the ref's like, do you have the key? And I'm like, yes, we have the key. Took the scroll, and got out there. I was basically just another body. It wasn't really me that did anything there, but I was like, yeah, if we get there and then something goes wrong, at least someone can grab the scroll and run, and we can all just scatter.
Yeah. Well, it was your like bird whistle that I could hear.
Well, so everyone ran out, and obviously as I'm running, none of you guys, so there's like 4 or 5 of you just in the woods, and I'm like, well, hang on, they don't know we've done it, so I'm like, it's done. And obviously the guards are still there, and I'm like trying to whistle.
That worked. But the second you did that, we all went, that must be it. And then you ran past, but it was the only person that was left was Al.
Yeah.
And we're like, where'd he go? I was like, he went that way, and he kept going. He might be at one of the other camps now. I don't think he stopped. And there was a moment where like, we're going to have to go back in for him, aren't we? We're going to have to. We're not leaving our brother behind. Yeah. And at that point, he turned up. We're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. But yeah, we got back. That astral projection was just like, that's such a cool use of that magic.
Cool. It was just,
because that's the type of spell I would hear and be like, how are you going to use a whole experience point on that? When are you going to use that? But like that type of thing, especially when they're like, they play like shadow worshippers, like the
Oh
shadow is
yeah.
a god, and like shadow worshippers and things like that. Oh, that's a real cool thematic game for them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, then we headed back down to the Treasure Hunters Guild. We did a debrief. I guess we can't really say too much here because
No, because this is
we know,
actually
yeah, we're the only ones who know about what happened, right? So
yeah, like we're quite honest characters. Come ask us
yeah,
because
oh no, I'll tell you.
we'll
Yeah.
just tell you. Like no one
But
told us
yeah,
to
we
keep a
got a lot of
secret.
information about this certain part of the Void army. It was a cult, wasn't it? We found out what their deal is. Basically, all four scrolls gave us a piece of the information, basically. So when we were in the Treasure Hunters Guild, all four groups came together and we came there with the guild masters and we went through what we learned.
Yeah.
And I was just like, then after that, obviously it was like gone time out for that. We were like, that was brilliant.
Oh yeah, like this
was
took us right
amazing.
till after timeout.
Yeah.
We got down to the thing. We did a whole debrief and everything. Got all our stuff. We stayed. We all carried on role playing in the guild for a bit longer, and then no, that was incredible. We all then night we basically were like, oh, we'll head back up to the camp and we'll set the fire on, make a couple hot water bottles and stuff before bed, and we'll chill out for a bit.
Well.
So we take something else off of our LARP to-do list, I guess.
Yeah, so we're sitting there and we're like, okay, well, we're kind of we're time out and we're chatting. Like you, me, and Al, and we're just like talking away. And
every so often, I'm just videoing the scenery around us.
Yeah. So our friends from Cyridonia were around for a while. We had some cocktails, and people started going, oh, I'm going off to bed, and then we're like, oh, it's getting. Yeah, it's getting late because I can start to see the light anyway. Blah 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 blah. We start talking and talking. I'm like, all right, the sun looks like it's coming up, and then we were like, right, okay, well, we best go to the toilet and then go to bed, and it was just daylight.
It was 6 a.m. We just kept going till 6 a.m.
And we had hot water bottles, and we were like, we've literally just outlasted the cold.
Oh, we were roasting.
I was like, what? We were that way. I was like, what have we done? Just like 6 a.m. bedtime is not a good idea. But it looked like watching the sunrise over all the tents.
It was really beautiful.
Was really cool.
It was really lovely.
I know there are some night owls that do this. Like, this isn't something that's crazy to them at LARP, but for us, like, that's not. Didn't.
Well, I normally reach my point where I'm like, I'm gone.
Yeah, you usually go, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to bed.
But I kind of like
usually
came
kick
back
me to
from
get.
it.
Yeah, we get to the certain part of the night, and you're like kicking me and nudging me to be like, let's go to bed.
Well, I kind of like came back from it. And I was like, actually, do you know what? This is fine.
Got a second wind.
This is great. I don't even feel drunk anymore. Let's just carry on. There was almost a point where like, do we just stay awake? Because we're going to get up in like, what, 6 a.m. So yeah, we're going to get up in the next couple of hours. We're like, what do we do here?
No, go to bed.
Yeah, we went to bed.
Get some sleep.
Went to bed. We're like, you know what? It's fine. I don't think there's anything happening in the morning. If we sleep in and we don't get up until after time in, it's not a big deal because it's not like Empire where you're kind of like, you've got like a strict thing you got to do in the morning where like, it's fine. We'll go, we'll sleep, we'll wake up whenever we wake up. It's fine.
So anyway, we get up and we're like, oh, yeah, we feel rough. Because we've only had 2 hours sleep, if that. Get up and I'm like, oh, everyone's like already like in character. I'm like, oh, it was that way. I was like, because I snuck out and was like, I'm gonna go get a shower.
Yeah.
Right. And I just got my cloak on. And I'm like, crap, it's like almost time in, so I'm gonna have to go get a shower and then come back to the in character bit. In characters, I'm like, if I just get a cloak, then I'll be in character.
Yeah.
And that'll be fine. I'll put my hood over because I wear a wig anyway. I'm like, I'll just put my hood over. That'll be fine. So I went and got a shower, which was just like heavenly. Came back, got into some kit. Walked out and they're all having a meeting. They had a military council, and I was like, military council.
So we walk out in our nice soft kicks. We're like, we're going to go out character and get breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the breakfast, by the way, is really good.
Yeah, the breakfast is good. Yeah,
really,
the food
really
vendors that
good.
are there are pretty good.
Oh my, the food is so good there. Yeah. So yeah, we're like, yeah, we'll put our soft kit on because what we'll do is we'll go and get a coffee, we'll get some breakfast, we'll have like a slow, steady time. We've got all day at Saturday.
Yeah, and I was just sitting there while you were getting ready because I was like, I'll go sit out, see what they're saying at this military council. They were just talking about like battle tactics, and I'm like, okay, we're talking battle tactics. Anyway, they're like, right, okay, yeah. Well, we all better get going then. And I'm like, where are we all going? They're like, oh, to the place. What was it called? The lament. We're going to the lament.
No, they're about.
Hmm?
Redoubt?
Redoubt is a territory in Empire.
I'm sorry.
It's the men.
Thank you.
It's okay. Look, there's lots of
silly words in these
lots
games.
of silly words. I mean, they are actual words. So they're going. We're going to. Let's go. And we're like, what? We're going to. Oh yeah. So we're off to the lament, and I'm like, don't have any armor
No,
on.
not.
And so Al's like, the same situation as us. He's like, I'm going to put some armor on and go. And I'm like, and I look at you, and you're like, no.
I was kind of in that stage. I was not feeling well. I was just so hungry and tired. And you know that stage where I'm just like, I think if I go, I might end up being a problem for the crew because someone's going to have to call a medic and bring me back. You know, like this is not sense, but I'm going to go. I'm going to have a nice coffee.
So we missed our nation skirmish, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did. We're terrible people.
But we were like, we went and had some coffee.
It was lots of coffee.
Tried to recover. It was worth it though. Like, just how honestly, like, my favorite part about Menhirs this year has been just sitting by the fire and keeping everybody in our nation awake by talking all night.
Look, I'm really sorry for keeping you all awake, but to whoever had the accordion.
It was an accordion or a harmonica. There was an accordion or a harmonica.
It was a harmonica
on the
or
Friday
an accordion.
Morning. Yeah, on the early Friday morning, we were like,
yeah, this is your payback, whoever you are.
Yeah. It's a festival. It's a LARP.
Yeah,
people are going to be up at all hours.
Exactly.
Yeah. So apparently, what we missed, because obviously we got the lowdown when we came back. So apparently, it was a continuation of the story that we did at the first event, which is a shame we weren't there because apparently, like Fadwis came back and was like, me and Moni, two other people knew what was going on because they went and they saw the hat, so the red hat again. So they saw the hats. And they split Valdrafe into two as well, didn't they? And I think they had like the same encounter basically because we're so big. So, it's difficult. It's difficult for our like nation support to write plot for us because basically, if you're in like Kairos currently or the Wonder or whatever, your nation support can just write like a encounter just for the entire nation. Which might be like 40 people, but there's a couple of hundred of us now, right? What maybe 150.
I don't know actually. If somebody has the actual numbers, that'd be great. But I
there's a fair few of us.
I guesstimate around about 150 to 180 players there easily in Valdres.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people. I mean, maybe that's an overestimation actually, because I think they split them into about 40 and 40 or something. Okay. But yeah, so apparently the skirmish was they found the hats like we did at the end of the last event. Found the hats. We'll talk about what we were, because I think, so the lament, so the day previous, so Fadwis was wanting to build some gravestones.
Yes, that's
for
right.
This place. So if you listen to our last podcast on the Valdrafe storyline that we did at the end, this was corrupted land. That the corruption had seceded from, which is not something we know anything about. We're like, wait, what? So there was flowers were growing there. These people were picking flowers, or they were in this area that had no longer had corruption. This person came into the camp and was like, I found these flowers in this corrupted area, and it's all, it's all back to normal. But all my colleagues my comrades had been killed.
Yeah.
And so we went and investigated, and this like red hat had corrupted them into, not corrupted them, but had a magical effect. Sorry, magical effect that had made them aggressively like kill each other. So Fadwis was like, I want to build, gravestones, at this site, but then we needed to figure out where this site was, and it was like one of two sites. But this is where we found out this must be the lament, because this is where we went to, was the lament, right? Or they went to, we didn't go. So they went there. There was caps on the ground. They did the whole shatter. Again, the fact that we weren't there, we knew how to get rid of the caps. Luckily, it seemed there was people that knew, because Fadwis and a couple of people.
That's so cool, though, because even if there was nobody who knew, that's still cool, because people are going to approach it in a different way, and maybe they will come to the same conclusion, or maybe they won't, and we get a different outcome. Again, because we shared the story around the nation,
Yeah.
but you never know. Like,
Yeah. So
yeah.
they shattered the hats. The Redcaps, so the Fey, the Fey creatures, the Redcaps, little nasty things appear, and there was a big fight with them, and apparently they were hard as nails to take down. And
Oh yeah, apparently like they just kept hitting them and they weren't going down.
and Thaddeus went down, and one of our threads saved him several times. And we're just like sipping a coffee, like trying to get over no night's sleep and hangover, and we're just like do, and our poor
I
brother's
had this
like,
really cool mushroom sandwich.
yeah.
And there was eggs in it. It was really nice.
Yeah.
And we had a nice oat latte. It was lovely.
Yeah.
It was really sophisticated and lovely.
Yeah.
Well, they were.
So we came back, and obviously then they told us the story of what happened. So that they got out there. I don't think they managed to kill some of them. I think they had to just like hoof it out of there.
I'm not sure actually. Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
I don't know, but okay, we've decided to end the first episode there before we get too carried away. We'll probably release these in quickish succession, maybe a week apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna do two parts. We're getting into the habit because we're doing 2 fest LARPs this year, so we're gonna be doing 2-part recaps just to keep the episodes flowing and moving. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you leave a comment down below if you're interested in coming to Menhir's Fate. If you were there, if you saw us there, tell us your favorite part. It does help when you interact in the comments. Leave us a like or a dislike, just whatever you want. If you want to go to the review section of the audio platforms, if you're listening on audio, leave us some stars as well. That helps people find us. Go check out all the other ways you could support us as well. Until the next time, though, we love you very much and stay safe. Bye-bye.